Any marine surveyor will tell you, writing the survey report is tedious and the worst part of a marine inspection. The pressure to get a report finished and delivered is amplified by the increasing industry demand for immediate results. Taking handwritten notes in the field and transcribing this information into a computer at home is a duplication of your effort and time. InspectX is a software solution designed to maximize your efficiency with an application that enables you to collect and enter information while in the field. This eliminates duplication and helps to produce a quality report without compromising your content. Inspect anything with InspectX. All right, morning guys. Thank you all for joining. I appreciate you taking some time out of your Saturday to meet with us and have this little group meeting like this. This is a bit of a trial here, if you will. I'm hoping that over the years, I've had a number of surveyors that have called in, one with help with the software, and it's almost equal parts help with the survey process. And I find myself trying to help a lot of people through that as best I can, just from my own past experience. But I often have contemplated the idea of starting a forum or some sort of group meeting where we can do weekly or monthly meetings similar to this, and maybe even have some professionals join with a regional director here or there to join in and be able to help answer some of those questions so that we can get opinions, not just from myself, but from some industry leading specialists as well. And that kind of leads me to the disclaimer, if you will, here is anything that I discuss on the survey process, tools, equipment, entries, any way to verbalize or say anything, all of these, and anytime I speak with you on the phone, these are just my opinions. These are built upon many years of experience, but also it is just an opinion. And it's just like anyone that you speak to at SAMS or a regional director, anyone giving any guidance, the best we can all do is pass along an opinion and an idea for you to best implement that into your process. So again, all of these are opinions, but I hope something or some of this will be useful. And if this forum platform works, then maybe it can be something that continues to grow into more and more exciting things. So today's one, just to overview on this, we're going to cover a couple of small little tips and tricks with InspectX, and then we'll roll into a couple of tools that just some basic everyday tools and some usage tips or usage ideas on those, and then just end with a bit of Q&A. If anyone has any questions along the way, keep those in mind. You can at the end of this, we can unmute ourselves and just speak them out, or if you think of something along the way, Zoom does have a little chat feature down on the bottom. You can use that and just go ahead and ask any questions as we go through this, and I'll get to those as we go. So let's jump into InspectX here, and I'm going to share my screen. Here, you guys should be able to see that now. I've got two projects lined up over here, and we're just going to click into one of them. And the first thing I want to show you is about completing a survey report. As you're getting near to the end, you've got a lot of information in here, and you may have a number of headings or sections that have a lot of these unfinished buttons or unfinished tiles still available in there. And the obvious one you probably have already discovered, as you click into any button, you can go to the top and click not applicable to then mark that one gray and not used in this report. But as you know, that can get time consuming if you've got to go through every single heading in here and do that same process, marking them all not applicable. So I want to show you a neat way to select everything, all the ones you haven't used, and mark them automatically not applicable. And all you do is you're going to right click on the category that you have selected. Right now I've got navigation electronics selected. I right click on that, and I can come down here and you can see there's a number of actions I can do to this category. And the last one, the bottom one on the list here, is the one that we're going to focus on. It's mark them all as completed. And as you click that, a little warning is going to appear. It's going to tell you exactly what it's going to do. And the function here is when I click complete, it's going to turn all of the headings that don't have any information in them, it's automatically going to mark those as not applicable. So if I go ahead and do that now, hit continue, you should see everything else turn gray. And in one file swoop, I've got all of this entire category completed. Now I can go through and do that for each other section in this report, go through, mark them complete. I like to do that way I know exactly what I'm marking. But if I'm pretty confident that I have everything here completed already, I can also do an action to all the categories at once. And you see that's the primary use for this all category in the very top left. When you right click on that and say mark is complete, now it's going to do that action to all the categories in one go. There you go. Report 100% complete just like that. So it's a useful tool. Use it as you want, as you're going away through, working your way through. In some cases, it saves you from having to go in and manually hit not applicable to each individual button in each section.
I can see that as being good for creating templates.
Exactly. And that actually brings me to the next one we're going to cover here is we're going to talk about creating a template, and then we're going to come back to publishing this report. A lot of you already see and know how to publish a report, but I'm going to cover that as well. But talking about templates, since you did bring this one up, I'm going to click the menu here and I'm going to go back to the project selection mode. And I can see this one now is 100% complete. So hypothetically, I want to use this project as a template for my next one. So the easiest way to do that is I want to keep all the same headings I've used before. I want to keep all of the ones that I marked not applicable originally. I want to keep those not applicable. So I right click on the project and you can see I've got a couple options on how to copy the project. The key thing you want to pay attention to here is where it says entries only. What that means is it's going to maintain the entries or copy the entries, but it will not keep the findings, the pictures, all of those things you'd have to manually delete anyway. So entries only is the key, and that's the most popular one used for creating a template. As soon as you click it, it's going to ask you to rename this project, and I'll just give it the same name, and we'll do it for client 3 here. You'll see it'll show up in my list, and when I click on client 3, now every single heading in this project is in progress. So it eliminates that possibility for you accidentally leaving something in a previous report. And you can just click into any one. You say, oh yeah, propeller shaft logs. Yep, there's still fiberglass composite, very likely if it's a C-ray or same manufacturer. And all you do is hit complete, and you can work your way through the survey assignment like this. This is the most useful way, and this is how I use it every day. When I take it in and I prep a project, I'll go in here, and the first thing after copying it, I'll change the client name and some basic details just to make sure I have what I can prepare initially done. But this layout is what I take within the field. It gives me direction, lets me know exactly the items that I need to work on and complete. So hopefully that's a useful tip here. Let's jump real quick into publishing a report. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to select that one that I had 100% complete. And in order to publish a survey report, we're going to hit the menu here again and go into publish preview mode. And you'll see at the very top, we have the eye and the printer. The eye will publish a draft view, and you can see that as soon as you click on it, it tells you it's going to publish a draft of the full report, and the printer icon will do the final full report. Both of them are going to publish it to a PDF, so same final result, but the one with the draft is going to have a watermark in the background. That's the primary key and the difference between them. So let's publish the draft together here just so we can see what happens. And I click it and I'm going to hit publish full report. Now it's normal when you publish the draft that you're going to see a black screen or a blue screen or a waiting period. There's a lot of processing going on in the background here where it will consolidate all the pictures and all the line items and organize everything in that report. So it may take 30 or 40 seconds. If it takes longer than that, if it takes longer than a minute, something may have failed, and you want to start looking near the top of the window to see if maybe a pop-up has been blocked. Some people will often see an error message on the page if you don't have Adobe Reader or something to open the PDF file with. So in any of those circumstances, there's some actions and there's instructions on the website on what to do in those, or you just give me a call. I've got on the website talking about that. I always say that, but it's easy now in a case like this to show you. This is our website here, and in the very top menu, you'll see there's the user guide and manual. And this kind of brings you to this menu here where you can see there's a lot of information in here on finding your way around adding things into the report and customizing the report. So just keep in mind, this is a useful resource there for you as well. So here's our final report. I've got my table of contents. I can drop down and navigate to specific sections. And you will notice there is a watermark all on the background. Now, we don't want to submit a report with a watermark like this. So the next thing we want to do after we've reviewed and we're pretty comfortable with this, we're ready to purchase and unlock that watermark. Now, after you've purchased a report, we're using your coupon code or a free credit. Either way, once you've done that, you can still go back and make changes to the report. Just keep in mind, you cannot change the client name, the vessel name, or the inspection date. Those are the only three that you cannot change. You will be able to, but it'll think it's another file, another report. So we're going to click the printer icon this time, and we'll hit Publish Final Report. And you'll see straight away it asks me to log into an account. Now, downloading the software does not create an account. You have to manually create your own account. And a lot of you in the chaplain's class right now, some of you have created these accounts, some of you are still yet to do them. It's very easy. To create an account, you simply hit New Account. And we, as you can see, ask for the most basic information here. It's going to be a company name, email, and a password. Keep in mind, the password is going to be asked of you each time or every 24 hours that passes when you come to republish a report. And that's the only way that the system verifies to see if you've already purchased a report so that it doesn't ask for money again. So that's the only time it needs an internet connection is to create a user account. Really simple. Once you've created this, it'll do exactly the same as the draft view, except this time publishes a full report without the watermark. All right, guys, that's about it, what I wanted to cover on tips and tricks on the software. And in order to keep this meeting short, I'm going to jump over to a few basic ideas or tools that we commonly use in the field when surveying. And so I know it's a bit of a segue or shift into this here, but I wanted to talk about the three most common tools for every single day when we're out in the field. And first and foremost is going to be the trusty flashlight. I went through a number of these different types and different models before settling on this one. And you can see it's beat up and rough. This thing's lasted me a number of years in the field. And it was an absolute worthwhile investment into a quality flashlight. I feel like if this dies on you in the field, it's kind of like your eyes are taken away from you. So it's a critical key component to working away around the boat. And many of the options in the field, obviously, I'll jump in here and show you. This is the one that I use here. This is actually a newer model of it, but it's by a company called Phoenix. And it's honestly has worked to be the most trustworthy, reliable flashlight, rechargeable batteries. So I'm no longer buying batteries for this anymore. And you can see here, it's 3,100 lumens. This thing is as bright as it gets. So really, really good tool for there. Nothing more needs to be really said in a flashlight. It's something you just need reliable and on you at all times. The next valuable tool I want to talk about here, and you've probably learned about a lot of these in class, some of you already have them, is going to be a moisture meter. There's a lot of different ones on the market, and they do somewhat varied things as far as the types of moisture or conductivity that you're able to observe with moisture meters. My go-to everyday one, I've got a number of them in the bag, but this is my go-to moisture meter, and it's called an Aquant Protimeter. Message me afterwards if you want any links to anything on that. I'll tell you a little bit why this is my go-to moisture meter. And primarily because the sensor that's on the back, it's an FM wave type moisture meter, which means that it will actually ignore a lot of the surface moisture. So if there's been a light rain or drizzle, maybe even morning dew sitting on the boat, I can put this on the surface and it will ignore that surface moisture. And for me, that's an extremely valuable tool to remove that consideration from it. With every other moisture meter, as soon as it pings out and you're saying, oh, the surface says it's wet, the first thing you need to do is wipe the surface to verify whether the meter is actually a false positive or if it's actually reading the right thing. With this one, it eliminates a huge amount, probably 85% of those false positives. And so for that reason, this one here is the most time useful moisture meter to be able to work my way around the vessel very quickly. And it's extremely sensitive. So if you do get yourselves one of these, keep in mind that it will alarm or ping out even on dry wood. It's very, very sensitive, and you need to use some judgment calls on that. Just use it as a relative metering when you're doing from the surrounding areas that you know are dry or unlikely to be wet, and then you move it towards a stanchion base or someplace that may possibly have moisture in there. If you see it increasing, hey, there's definitely a sign that there's something going on there requiring some further investigation. Which brings me to the third most useful tool in everyone's tool bag, our trusty hammer here. You can see there's two tips on the hammer, and some of you, this is a no-brainer or easy, but it is worth mentioning. Obviously, you can see this one's pretty worn and beat up, but the soft rubber tip is useful, but it doesn't have that report, that quality tone. So almost always I'm using the harder plastic head. I do have a metal tipped hammer. It's very, very small, but again, very selective times when I use that because it scares people and scares brokers. So I'll use it on stringers or areas that are not visually or visibly could suffer from any damage on that. But anything, the harder the tip, the better the audible report, and the easier it is to determine what's going on beneath the surface. That's pretty obvious and straightforward. But I wanted to talk a bit about how do you know between when something is a abnormal sound or not, right? You're going to tap the bottom of the hull and you'll hear different tones all the time. And that doesn't necessarily mean that something's wrong. So one of the first things that I'll do is I'm tapping the hull bottom and I hear an abnormal tone somewhere. I'll put my hand right alongside where I'm tapping with the hammer. And what I'm feeling for is any reverberation in the hull laminate. If I can feel some movement or flex on my hand, then I know that something's going on with the surface. And the next thing I'll do is I'll push the tip of my hammer against the hull surface and I'll just put some pressure on it to see if I can see any movement. To give you an idea that I actually got a little video here, I'm going to show you what that looks like. And I'll hit play here. So it's hard to see in a Zoom meeting. This particular clip, you may not quite see where I'm pushing against the hull surface here. You've seen a little bit of deflection. It gets less the higher up we go, closer to that mark. And the lower down I go where that X has been marked, you can see the surface laminate's actually flexing. I do it here with the head of the hammer with some more pressure, and you can see quite a bit of flex there going on. This, in fact, was about less than a year old. So it doesn't take a lot of time for something like that to happen. Here's a big Sea Ray. This one's only about 4 years old. And you can see quite clearly a lot of flex and movement in the surface there. Now, when we were hitting this with the hammer, obviously you get around that side, this area, and you could hear a soft melon-like sound. It was clearly a difference in audible tone. And then when you start adding pressure and pushing on it, that's when it becomes extremely clear that there's something wrong going on here. This boat actually went back to Sea Ray and they cut it all out, ground it up completely, and rebuilt the entire hull on all those areas that we called out on that boat. So that's just a couple of things I wanted to hit on here, guys. Just a couple of tools, a couple of tips with InspectX. I wanted to keep it nice and short and sweet so you can all enjoy your weekend and I don't sit here and blab on too long. But hopefully some of these things were useful, maybe a little bit of interest perhaps. And I just want to open the floor up if anyone has any questions on surveying, on the software, on anything at all.